Cloud. All right, everybody, welcome here to our Wednesday night Zoom call with the one and only Mark Bennett. My name is Jim Dowd. For those of you that are new, those that are guests, my name is Jim Dowd. My background is I'm a former professional athlete, played 17 years National Hockey League, live in Point Pleasant Beach, New Jersey, and I've been part of a company, not even a company, we call this a movement here at IDLife. You know, we launched this company 9 years ago, May 1st. You know, and we pride ourselves on having the best, being the best, for the best. We have a very special guest tonight. We have what's your official title now, Mark? Because you were the COO, now you're the Chief Business Operator, right?
Yes, chief business and legal officer.
Business and legal officer. Yep, Mark Bennett, who's been with IDLife from pre-launch. I believe, Mark, you were the first person that our CEO, or our founder and chairman, Logan Stout, hired. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was employee number one.
Yep. So again, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about the IDLife product line, where we're focused mainly first on our flagship product, ID Nutrition. But Mark, for those that don't know, you give a little bit of background about yourself, and then we'll go right into the what I call, and we all call, our flagship product, the ID Nutrition, which, you know, IDLife wouldn't exist if it weren't for that.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, my background is kind of boring in the sense that I was a 25-year trial lawyer. Traveled around the country trying cases, and was in a hotel room on Easter Sunday. My wife sends me a picture of her and the kids going to a service. I'm taking the deposition of a CEO of a company I can't even remember the name of, and called her that night and said, hey, we're going to do something else. And that something else ended up becoming IDLife. For me, that was 10 years ago. The company's 9 years old as of May 1st, but I started way before the company ever launched. In the preparation, planning, and creation of what you guys now know as the IDLife movement. So been here from the very beginning with my proud partner in crime, Laura Brandt, and happy to be here to answer whatever questions you guys might have.
Nice. Great, Mark. And then, guys, if you have questions, just type them in there, put them in the message bar there, and we'll get started here. So again, like I mentioned, the first product we're going to talk about, I call it our flagship product. So does Mark. I mean, if it weren't for ID Nutrition, which stands for Individually Designed Nutrition, you know, IDLife wouldn't exist. So talk a little bit, Mark, about how this all came about 11 years ago. It was actually longer than that, but
yeah, it's actually about 20. Let's see, let me think. It was 18 when, so I guess it's now 28 years in the making. Since the first day I actually saw it. What you had was a pharmacology oncologist, basically means a pharmacist that does cancer drugs. He had a situation where he had a hospital pharmacy. He also had a outside pharmacy, and then cancer hit his own family. And through that process, he got the idea that maybe he should get out of the responsive medicine practice and get into the preventative medicine practice, or the proactive practice, if you will, and decided to move over to nutraceuticals. And he was the one that had the brain idea for what is now ID Nutrition. ID Nutrition is a combination of several things. One, over 11,000 independent third-party peer-reviewed studies. Don't worry, you never have to remember that, because on the back of every box, there's a barcode. You scan that barcode and it says exactly what I said, so you don't have to know it. But it also has over 7,000 algorithms that are running concurrently, cross-correlating your answers to the assessment with that science, and at that point, then giving a customized nutritional platform, identifying what your current nutritional gaps are, identifying things where you might want to be preventative. In other words, based upon your answers, you may have these problems in the future, and providing you access to the other line of supplements that we have. There's 3.9 million possible outcomes on the ID Nutrition platform. But if you add genetics to it, which we've also added at IDLife, then there's an infinite number of possibilities. So it is an extremely scientifically strong product. In fact, 2023 is the year of ID Nutrition, because every single nutraceutical in the platform, there are 38 of them currently, is being touched, redefined, and made better this year.
Nice. And talk a little bit about, so when we first launched the company, you know, IDLife, you took the assessment, and now talk about how we can tailor it down to anybody's budget. Because one of the first questions that I get asked, and most people get asked, is, well, what's the cost? You know, and explain that, why everybody's cost is going to be different, but how now we could tailor it down to anybody's budget, which is huge.
Correct. Yeah. So basically, when you get to the very end, what it's going to do is it's going to show you what we call the core recommendation. Core recommendation is the system based upon your answers and the science that it has supporting every one of the recommendations. There's a little Y button next to it that you can click on and figure out what the Y is. Has designed a platform that basically says, here are your current nutritional gaps. Average person is going to see a price tag of somewhere, just call it between $50 and $100 for the very first time. That's for the core nutrition. If that's outside of their budget, the easy answer for them is there's a minus button right next to anything that they say, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't want this one. Because once you start exploring what's there, you can decide, is this something that I'm concerned about? Is this something that I want to change? And if it is, you hit the minus button, your price goes down because you have less of the product. We literally gave people the freedom to change the price and change the product to meet their needs. But remember, there's a Y button next to each recommendation. So it may be that, it's, hey, it's recommending something to you for an area that, you're not really concerned about. You answered it because, your grandmother had that issue. So, you're concerned about that issue, but not so concerned that, you really want to bust the budget to get that product.
Nice. And talk a little bit also about get this question all the time, Jim. Most people, they say, vitamins, they don't do anything for you, and they're correct. Most vitamins, supplements, they don't do anything for you. Talk about the quality of our ID nutrition and what separates us from the rest of the pack.
The sad part about this industry is when we jumped into it, one of the things that we found very quickly is that, for instance, there's 13 different levels of vitamin C, everything from a pharma grade level vitamin C down to, a base synthetic that really provides no nutritional value whatsoever. In fact, it's what you find in most multivitamins that are on the shelves today. And a lot of people don't understand the differentiation between what I'm going to call high quality, high grade vitamins and minerals, and then just the stuff on the store shelf. The difference is your body's ability to metabolize those nutrients. See, IDLife doesn't use artificial ingredients, doesn't use synthetics other than the form of methylation for vitamin B12 and B6, which we can get into if you want to. I'm sorry, B9 and B12, if you want to get into on the methylation forms of those and why genetically those are necessary. But at the end of the day, what we have is the highest quality ingredients you can have. So your body has the maximum opportunity to absorb those nutrients. Now, do you need vitamins? Well, the answer is I wish you didn't. But the reality is there's two things fighting against us. One of them is what we call SAD. SAD is the standard American diet. Standard American diet is that wonderful thing, meaning that about 100% of people on this screen that I'm looking at right now in the next 72 hours are going to get a meal in a bag into the car window, and 50% of us are going to eat it in the car. I'm talking with you, not at you. Trust me, this is just who we are. This is what we do. Very little nutritional value, but more importantly, a lot of the trans fats and other things that are found in those products are actually causing our nutritional issues. The other thing that happens that you cannot control is the American food supply itself. See, we have soil contamination, soil depletion, nutrient depletion. A tomato has roughly 1/6 the nutritional value that it had just 20 years ago, and it's getting progressively worse on the monthly basis. And I say monthly because it depends on where that tomato is actually grown and coming from. The other thing that you don't control is the toxins and pollutants that you are exposed to on a regular basis. Most people, when they think toxins and pollutants, they're thinking about things that they eat, things that they use in their homes. They're thinking about pesticides and things like that. The reality is 80% of the toxins and pollutants that you ingest on a daily basis are coming through your skin, in the air, and you don't have any control of it. So no matter what you're doing inside your home, you can't avoid all of it. So as much as I would love to say that people don't need supplementation, the reality is the combination of all of those things has resulted in the absolute need for it. In fact, there's multiple studies out there, scientific studies, that have determined that there absolutely is a necessity for vitamins. And people that say that, they're not necessary, it's the science just doesn't support that position.
No, it's a great answer. And that was my next question, the importance of supplementation, but I think you covered that. And so again, guys, a reminder, again, this is a free HIPAA compliant health assessment you take right online. The person that invited you to this Zoom tonight, they can get you that information. But talk about a little bit, Mark, about the difference between the core and advanced in your final
Sure.
product there.
Sure. Core again is current. And that's the way you need to think of it. In other words, based upon your answers, the system has identified your core nutrients. In other words, you have current nutritional gaps in these areas. The advanced is, hey, these are more on what I would call the preventative side. In other words, if you have these concerns because you may have a family history of things, like for instance, if you have a family history of heart disease, as a preventative or as an advanced formula, it may recommend to you either Heart Health or CoQ10. Why? Well, the Heart Health is the direct form to basically help blood flow into the heart. The CoQ10 is the nutrient necessary for heart muscle health, which would automatically be triggered in the event that you got on like a statin drug or something like that. And that's something else I do want to mention when I'm talking about this is the main thing that ID Nutrition does, and probably the most important thing that it does, is it blocks you from taking something that would otherwise be harmful to you. There's a lot of people out there that are taking nutrients because, Uncle Jim said, hey, this would be good for you. So, you take it because Uncle Jim said so, or because, your friend is getting results from something. So, you start taking that. But what you don't realize is based upon your diet, your family history, over-the-counter drugs, or prescription drugs that you're taking, you could actually be causing a heck of a lot more harm than you are good. Prime example is if you're a smoker or subject to secondhand smoke and you consume more than 20 milligrams of beta carotene, science says that you just increased your chances of contracting lung cancer by 60%. So guess what? There's more than 20 milligrams of beta carotene in every multivitamin on the shelf today. Those are things that our system knows it blocks and prevents you from hurting yourself. In fact, if you go down to the bottom below the advanced recommendations and you see all the other supplements that are there, it'll actually show you the items that were blocked and tell you why they were blocked.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing. And also, here's a question that I get, why do I have to list my over-the-counter and prescription medication for the ID assessment? What's the importance of that?
Say that one more time, Jimmy. I'm sorry.
Why do I have to list my over-the-counter and prescription medication in the ID assessment?
The main reason is we want to avoid what we call, big word, contraindication. Okay. What that basically means is that nutraceutical would work against the pharmaceutical or the over-the-counter drug. Prime example, 1 in 3 women on this call is on some type of what I'm going to call antidepressant, usually because of the men in their life, but that's just the reality of the world we live in. The reality is if you take that with something called ginkgo biloba, okay, it's a supplement a lot of people use, you just put yourself into mania. I mean, it literally takes your depression and puts you into a deeper depressive state. 1 in 4 women on the call is on a thyroid medication. Well, guess what? If you take certain vitamins and minerals in the morning with that thyroid medication, it eliminates the effectiveness of the thyroid medication. You go to your doctor saying it's not working. What does he do? He gives you more of the medication, which gets you more to the side effect because you didn't know. I can't tell you how many cardiologists I speak to about statin drugs, and they're not prescribing CoQ10 with it when we know a statin drug stops the production, the natural production in the body of the CoQ10 nutrient, which is the nutrient necessary for heart muscle health. In fact, the warning in Health Canada literally says, while a statin may stop the heart attack, it very well could cause heart failure. All of these things are embedded within the system. The reason why we're asking the questions is really for your protection. And the reality is a lot of times people forget to go in and update the assessment, which is critical to make sure that we are giving you the absolute thing that you need and stopping you from taking the things that could otherwise harm you.
Nice, nice. Now, speaking of updating the assessment, how often should people update their assessment and why?
I say seasonally. A season can be any number of things. Like, for instance, February in Texas can be, 90 degrees or 20 degrees, depending on the year. The last couple, it's been more in the 20s. And in Texas, if you're in North Texas, March could be spring, and you're in South Texas, you're already beginning of summer. The reason why I say seasonally is because allergies travel in the season, and your nutrient needs and nutrient deficiencies also travel with seasons. Prime example, you guys, a lot of you probably up in the New Jersey area. I don't see a lot of you probably getting a lot of sunlight, February, January, those months. You're basically running. I mean, I know I don't come there during January and February. I did once for Jimmy and thought I was going to freeze to death. So that's, I'm a Texas boy,
You're a spring and a summer guy here in Jersey.
I do not have clothes for that stuff at all.
No, and also here's one that I think is very important, and you're great at explaining it. What is MTHFR, and why should we know about it, and how can it possibly affect me?
All right. So MTHFR. Wow. Yeah. This one's personal to me. And it's personal because I actually have the genetic markers. And MTHFR, it refers to something called methotetrahydrofolate. You don't have to know those things. Okay. What it's basically saying is your body's methylation process, if you have these genetic markers, has been depleted. Now, the methylation process of your body affects 200 different systems, everything from your immune system to inflammation, to sleep, to mood states like depression, things like that. But it also, probably the most important thing that it does is it affects the body's removal and detoxification of dead, dying, and toxic cells through the identification and removal of those things. If you have a depleted system like I do, there's two markers that are on the MTHFR gene. One is called the 1298, one is called the 677. I'm heterozygous, which means I have one on each. Okay. That means 90% of my methylation process has been depleted. What that means is I have to do several things. I don't have to just supplement. I have to have a diet specific for people with MTHFR. And on top of that, I have to do some other things. Like, for instance, I have a red light sauna in my house. I don't want a red light sauna in my house, but guess what? It helps my body detoxify. It makes me feel a lot better. In fact, as you age, things get worse. So that's why this becomes so important. In fact, we are getting ready to launch next week an update to the folate formula and something we call Methylation Plus, designed specifically to address this issue, not just for people with MTHFR, but for people that are on what I call the SAD, the standard American diet, because guess what? Your methylation process is affected. People that have high stress lifestyles, people that have gut issues and high inflammation in their body. All of this is affecting the methylation process. And remember, methylation affects 200 of the different body systems that you have. So, I mean, it touches a lot of things. The main thing it does, though, is prevent your body from uptaking B vitamins. So if you're one of those people that gets really lethargic in the afternoon, doesn't have any natural energy, spent all night in bed, wake up and you're still tired, most likely you have a depleted methylation cycle.
Nice. That's a great answer. Also, a lot of people that are new to this, they haven't taken supplements before. One of the questions I get all the time personally is, hey, how fast do these things work? And I have all different answers from the plenty of customers that I have. But, in coming from you, what would your answer be to that one?
Here's the way that I always answer the question. We're individually designed life, IDLife, okay? And each one of us metabolizes nutrients in different ways. So in other words, it may, for some people, take a very short period of time. For others, it can take a little bit longer, depending on what's going on in your own ecosystem. Your body chemistry is unique to you. Your ability to metabolize the nutrient is unique to you. In fact, one of the myths of marketing that a lot of companies engage in is they start putting on their packaging, well, our vitamins can be absorbed within 10 minutes. What's your absorption rate? They can't tell you that. What they've done is they've taken a vitamin, they put it in a petri dish with something that mimics stomach acid and says, oh yeah, it took 10 minutes for that to absorb. They can't tell you if your body's actually getting the nutrient. Again, you may have a genetic block to be able to actually get the nutrient in your body. That's a possibility, in which case, hey, we're going to have to talk about that. And that's why we have a genetic test. So the reality is most people, they don't feel ID nutrition when they take it at first. It's when they stop taking it, they feel, oh my goodness, I didn't realize what I was feeling until I stopped taking it. And that's when they get back on it, because they don't realize the benefit, because it's a slow ramp. And that slow ramp is basically a gradual increase in natural processes. It's not something that's like, boom, I took it and wow, I feel it automatically. Now, that being said, this Methylation Plus product that is getting ready to launch next week in ID Nutrition, I actually did something crazy in the testing of that personally, just because, it's so near and dear to me. I went off all ID Nutrition for 60 days and just took this so that I could feel the effect of just that. Because again, I'm a guinea pig. I test myself. And I can tell you, I could feel the difference in that product simply because of all the natural energy that I had. Again, I have an extremely depleted methylation process based upon my genetic markers. I basically was trying to see, could I really get the benefit of this and actually feel it? And the answer is yes, I actually could.
Nice. Here's another one I get when it comes to allergies. Can people with allergy to seafood, specifically to seafood, take any of the IDLife products, ID Nutrition, and/or the products?
It depends on the seafood allergy, because there's some people that are allergic to shellfish. There's some people that are allergic to fish in general. If they're allergic to fish in general, then coral calcium and omega-3s are out, because omega-3 is fish oil and coral calcium comes from coral, which guess what? Fish live there too. So avoid those two things. Everything else would be fine because we use a bovine gelatin capsule. We don't use anything that is fish oriented. So those two things would be off limits for people that have a true fish allergy if they're concerned. But I will tell you that if you have a fish allergy and you're not taking an omega-3 supplement, you need to get omega-3s into your body and in other forms. And there's some plants, seeds, nuts, things like that, that you can get your omega-3s from. But most importantly, you need to make sure that you're getting those somewhere, because there's a lot of what I'm going to call chronic disease states that start with extreme omega-3 deficiency, or what a lot of doctors will look at as an omega-6 to omega-3 off ratio. In other words, you have way too much omega-6 in your body and not enough omega-3, usually coming from people that say, hey, I have an allergy, so I'm not using any of this stuff.
Nice. Also, this is a question a lot of us get is, why do I have to take them in the morning and at night?
So in essence, what you're dealing with here is
Sorry to interrupt you, Mark, but for those of you that are new, you get your evening, your morning strip packs, your evening comes in convenient strip packs with your name on it. You take your morning supplements, and then you take your evening supplements. And people are like, well, I just want to take everything in the morning when I get up, or I just want to take them at night. That's where this question comes if you're new here.
Yeah, so there's certain things that your body metabolizes better in the morning. There's certain things your body metabolizes better in the evening. It's what we call chronobiology. So what we have done as part of the science is we've basically given you the things that your body needs when it needs it. Again, remember, the whole purpose here is getting the body what it can use and giving it the maximum opportunity to actually metabolize. Most people, when they've taken omega-3s in the past, what they do is they take them in the morning with their multivitamin. Unfortunately, it processes best in the liver between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. So as a result, when you took it in the morning, you had some pretty expensive urine, but you didn't get all of the benefit from the product that you could have otherwise. That's why we do what we do. Nice. The other thing on that, remember earlier I talked about thyroid medication and how it can be blocked, or the effectiveness of it can be blocked if you take certain nutrients in the morning with it. If you put that down there and say, hey, I'm taking thyroid, anything that would affect the thyroid medication is automatically moved into your PM packet. In other words, it's basically pushed out. So you can still take your morning stuff, but you're avoiding the contraindication issues.
Nice. And speaking of integrity, from day one, there's quite a few people on here that were, 9 years ago, we soft launched it actually. I remember January 18th of 2014. And from day one, all, Logan and yourself and Laura Brandt talked about was the integrity of IDLife will never be compromised. Talk a little bit about, why it's a free assessment. And I tell people one of my favorite parts about, doing this business is the integrity of the company, and especially the assessment. I tell people, listen, it's a free assessment. You take right online, it's HIPAA compliant. Nobody's going to see your info. And the best part about what we do here at IDLife is once you take this assessment, we give you this information. You have it for the rest of your life. You can do whatever you want with it. And this is updated, as new science and new studies come out. Talk both a little bit about, the integrity and, when those new studies come out, how the assessment's updated in real time.
Yeah, we just had our big national event in Irving, Texas, so just outside of Dallas. And we brought our research scientist that's in charge of the updates to the assessment. Her name's Carrie Demonstrate. She is an amazing person. I mean, she is what does she have a degree in? She has a master's degree in neuroscience. I mean, it's crazy how smart this lady is. And her team are the ones that are in charge of reviewing all of the new drugs, all of the new over-the-counter medications, all the generics, all the new studies that come out on a monthly basis. And we are constantly updating and improving the system with the latest and greatest science and information that we can. The whole idea behind that is to make sure that you're getting the most recent information. In fact, the main reason why 2023 is the year of ID nutrition and all the changes that we're making is because science has advanced. When we launched this company, we were talking about things like non-GMO. No one knew what in the world what is a genetically modified organism. No one knew what that was 9 years ago when we launched the company. Now everybody knows what a GMO is. We were talking about gluten-free, soy-free, and all of the other things, and all of the other aspects of things that IDLife stands for. And sure enough, I mean, what it is the world has finally caught up. But the reality is we're driven by science. So it's not that IDLife is smarter than everybody else. It's, hey, we actually have people reading the science saying, hey, here's what you need to pay attention to. And speaking of soy, I see a question over here from Marty that was asking about soy on the bag. I'll address that one. That's nourished. But I'll go ahead and jump ahead, Jimmy, and I'll address the question. The FDA is an amazing organization that regulates both pharmaceuticals and nutraceuticals. Big myth that they don't regulate us. They do. The difference is they regulate pharmaceuticals before they're launched. They regulate nutraceuticals after they're launched. So that's the difference. But they have some rules and regulations that they have come out with in the last 18 months or so. One of those is specific to whey protein shakes. The whey protein shakes, basically what they have said is if it's whey, then you have to put a soy allergy on the bag, even if there's no detectable soy anywhere in the product. Well, guess what? We have no detectable soy anywhere in the product, but the FDA says there's going to be a warning, so we put a warning. Period. End of story. That's why soy is on the bag. Same thing with milk. Whey comes from milk, but if we tested it and looked for the presence of lactose in that whey, guess what? We won't be able to detect it in a test. It just won't happen. But guess what? Milk is also one of the allergy warnings that has to go in the bag. So guess what? It says milk and soy.
Nice. Nice. So let's talk a little bit about now. You went into the science about things. I want to see if I can share my screen here. I got a ton of stuff on my thing, but I want to show you guys our SciMed board. Talk a little bit, Mark, about the IDLife SciMed board. Speaking of that, and how what are the prerequisites? They don't just get put on our SciMed board. Talk a little bit about these people so you can see there's real people behind what we're doing here.
Each one of these has a special story. In fact, when I'm done here tonight, I'm actually having dinner with Dr. Iorio and his wife. It's just fun. Dr. Iorio was our very first SciMed board member ever. In fact, he was a SciMed board member before we launched the company. First one to say yes to me. 40-year orthopedic surgeon. But I can tell you, he knows so much more than orthopedics. I mean, and has a heart of gold that is unmatched. Dr. Pinsky runs a medical weight loss clinic down in Florida. He's just an amazing man. I mean, he's trying to help people understand that they don't have to have surgery to correct issues. They can actually find a medical way to actually get the health that they want. Dr. Hale, she is basically dedicated her life to women's health, both pre-menopausal, post-menopausal, childbearing. I mean, you name it. That's what her entire focus has been. And, that's an extremely important thing for us because women's health issues are very unique. And when you're starting to deal with life-changing issues, we needed somebody on that board that could help us in that regard. Dr. Cantera is a chiropractor, but he's also a certified functional medicine practitioner. He's also been here since the very beginning. In fact, immigrant, and has an amazing story if you ever get a chance to hear it. And not only that, just a great human and wants to give back to his community, but not only to his community, he wants to give back to all of the people of IDLife. So that's why he is here. I talked about Carrie. I told you that she had a master's in neuroscience. Again, super intelligent. She runs the science team in California that does all of our medical review, scientific review, and all of the other issues associated with drug review. And then Tom Riley actually works for IDLife. He's our director of strategic sourcing and product development. What most people don't know about Tom is that he has actually run and owned 2 different manufacturing facilities in his career. He sold them, but his passion is to build functional products. So as a result, what he has done is he basically says, hey, I'll come work for you guys, even though I don't need to, as long as you'll let me make products that, no one else will let me make. And we're like, absolutely, come on. So Tom is the brain behind a lot of the products that we have. If you're in the office and you see Tom and I yelling at each other, usually it's because we're challenging each other. Most people, they think that's yelling. That's not yelling. Like I said, one of my best friends is Italian. That's just discussing.
No, that's great. I just want to give people an idea of, how real that IDLife is here and what goes into it behind the scenes, that this SciMed board doesn't get talked about enough. And before we transition into, a couple of our other product lines here, just talk about the long-term plans of, not only, the IDLife as ID Nutrition as a product, but IDLife as a company, as a
The
movement, sorry, as a movement.
yeah. The long-term plan has always been to be a voice of reason, but most importantly, a pillar of information. Jimmy said a couple of times that the assessment is free. And it is, but you get two things for free that basically tells you who IDLife is. One is a health score. The health score is not a definition of who you are. It's a definition of where you're starting. Most people score between a 60 and an 80. But the most important thing that you get for free is a 6 to 16 page report just about you that's identifying where your nutritional gaps are based upon your daily habits. Think about that. So it may be that, hey, I have high blood pressure, but I also eat processed meats. It may say, do you know there's a direct correlation by simply reducing or eliminating your consumption, you can naturally improve your hypertensive state. The integrity of IDLife is nowhere in there does it recommend an IDLife product. It literally is telling you how your habits are affecting your health and how you can change your habits and improve the stuff that we're talking about here. But most importantly, we're probably the only company on the planet that gives you the information for free that will help you take less of what it is we have. Because at the end of the day, we know something that a lot of other companies seem to ignore, which is each person on this planet touches at least 25 other human lives in their circle of trust and influence. And if we can help you get healthy, we can help you get the life that you've always wanted. There's going to be every person that's in your circle want to know how you did it. Because I can tell you at any given time in the United States, there's 75% of Americans that are trying to lose weight or trying to get healthy in some way. And all of them are confused because of all of the information that's out there. The one thing that we will be, and we always have been, is whatever I'm saying tonight is the same thing I'll say 10 years from now. Science has not changed that much other than the advancements of it. But with regard to nutrition and the need for nutrition and how your body is in need of certain nutrients. Some people call them macronutrients, your carbs, your fats, your proteins. That hasn't changed all that much, though everyone has a nuance to it. Everyone has, their fad and things of that nature. IDLife is not a fad. Everything that we do is science-based. Everything has a source in solid information, and then we provide you the information so you can read it for yourself.
Nice, nice. Now let's talk a little bit about, let's transition into a couple of our other products, one that goes hand in hand, right along with, well, there's two of them actually. Let's start off with the DNA bundle with IDLife. That's the combination of the ID Nutrition, and you could do the ID Nutrition by itself, or you could, hey, it's like ID Nutrition on steroids with your DNA profile. Talk a little bit about that and how that works.
DNA, it two things with it. One, it's going to tell you how your body wants to be fed, how your body wants to move, how your body is going to react to certain toxins and pollutants, and how your body is going to metabolize key nutrients. In other words, can I get, vitamin D from the sun? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Your genetics can tell you that. The best part is you only have to ever do your genetics one time. Once you've done them, you never have to do them again. That's it. They're done because they don't change. But we did two things. One, not only do you get a 46-page scientific report that you don't have to have a science degree to read, but you kind of had to have some college level classes in order to make that happen because there's some really heady information in there. But hey, if you're a green personality like me, you're going to dig in there. You're going to love it. But we designed also something called the GAP tool. Those are your genetic action plans. In fact, you can go to gap.idlife.com and see that. Once you get your report back, what you end up having is 5 different reports that can allow you to very quickly and easily understand exactly what your body needs as far as anti-aging, weight loss, workout, MTHFR, which we've talked about tonight, as well as how the vitamins and how your body is going to react to vitamins. In that report, in the way that it comes out, what it's basically doing is in plain English, explaining to you how your genes, what they mean, how they correlate with one another. And instead of just looking at a single gene, we're saying, hey, look, here's the markers that you identified. Here's how these things are working together and affecting your life. The thing that I love about genetics, and I'll just give you one example. I'm a member of what they call the Clean Your Plate Club. Anyone else? Yeah,
I
everyone.
got
Yeah,
that in mind.
exactly. Yeah. You know what's interesting about that? I used to blame my mom, saying, or really, I should say my grandmother. She never let me get up unless I cleaned my plate. The reality is, I found it really wasn't her fault. See, I've got this wonderful genetic marker. It basically inhibits the leptin ghrelin cycle. Ghrelin tells your body, it's a hormone that tells your body you're hungry. Leptin says, hey, I've had enough, I'm full. Most people, just so you know, that signal will trigger 15 to 20 minutes into consumption of food. For me, I have an extremely delayed response, which is 40 minutes. Do you know anybody that it takes 40 minutes to eat anything? No, it doesn't. In fact, the only time you can think of when you've eaten something, you realize, wow, I didn't eat hardly anything when I normally eat, is when you're at some dinner party and you're having conversation with somebody and you're back and forth with them. You look down, you have half your meal left. You're like, I'm just not that hungry. You gave your body time to tell it, hey, I've had enough. I can stop. And the main reason for that is, oh yeah, by the way, the number one thing needed for digestion is oxygen. And we keep using the fork and the spoon as a shovel, and that never stops. By the way, the average person finishes their plate in 8 minutes. So they don't even give enough time for their body to actually react if they don't have the inhibited cycle like I do. So that's kind of what genetics does. There's a lot of other things in it, but the GAP tool is almost 60 something pages of information that provides you an action plan for your genetics.
Yeah, and then as we roll into that now, let's talk about our, one of our product that I think is it's about a year now that we've had this out, the detox box, the IDLife 30-day detox box. So roll right into that.
The detox box is kind of a starter for a lot of people. And what I mean by that is, and the reason why it's kind of the start and where everyone should start, our bodies are full of a lot of junk. And I won't go into nasty details, but one of the things that a lot of people deal with, and let's be frank, ladies, I'm not picking on you, just these are stats. So I'm just going to talk about this particular issue. But 80% of women deal with chronic constipation related issues. They're just stopped up. A lot of that has to do with hormone imbalance and other related issues that women have to deal with, cycles and things like that as well. What we want to do is we wanted to provide a product that could actually give people the ability to detoxify through a system. But it wasn't just a system. It was something that actually went in the proper order. See, the problem with most detox systems is they basically go in and they just flush the liver. The liver is the primary filter of the body. If you start with the liver, guess what? You're going to dump it into your secondary filtration system, which is the colon and the kidneys. And if they're backed up, it's going to make you feel miserable. In fact, most people end up with something what we call the detox reaction. What we did is we created something that starts with the colon and the kidneys. We wanted to flush those things out, help the body, do that with the nutrients that basically supports that process. Then dump the liver. And then once we've dumped the liver, then go back in and repair the gut. Provide the gut the nutrients it needs to repair so that your body is ready to move forward. Now, the complement to the detox box that we just launched, I've talked about once just with Nourished. That Nourished is the new whey shake that we just launched. It's a meal replacement shake, but the main reason why it's a complement to the detox box is because it has 7 to 9 grams of fiber in it, in addition to being a total meal replacement. That fiber helps things move. It gets things going. And I will tell you, brownie batter, and this thing, they called it vanilla cookie because they didn't want to put the word sugar on the front. It tastes like a sugar cookie. It's just what it tastes like. But brownie batter and vanilla cookie, and these things taste absolutely amazing. Here's the one I tell you, here's the one thing, if you're going to try these though, I want you to try it with just water the very first time. A lot of people like myself, I use, coconut milk and berries and things like that when I'm making this in the morning. I tell everyone, start with just water because it's going to taste absolutely amazing with just water, and just think what it can taste like with all the other things that you want to put with it.
Nice. And this rolling right into the Nourish, guys. So just so you know, we just launched this at our big convention, 3 weeks ago now, Mark? I get this question. So the Nourished for kids, half a dose for kids, at what age? And how about for women? Do they need to take 3/4 for a full meal replacement? Or does it depend on your size, your weight, your age? What is it?
Well, for kids, and if we're talking kids under the age of 12 and under 100 pounds, I would say, yeah, give them 1 scoop rather than 2. A serving is 1 serving is actually 2 scoops. adult women, adult men, no, it's full servings. This is only 220 calories. It is something that is actually going to provide that filling nature. I will tell you that I have heard some people kind of feeling a little gassy when they first start, and they're like, why do I feel gassy? You know, is it the waist shape? No, remember, it's the fiber. The fiber is actually pushing things through. Most people don't get 10 grams of fiber in their diet on a daily basis. Fiber is something that we really do need. You should be getting somewhere between 20 and 25 grams of fiber daily. Most people don't get near that. So what this is doing the same thing that the cleanse did, just a little bit slower. That's why I said this is the complement to cleanse. In other words, do the cleanse, get all that stuff out, and then start taking this, and you'll understand what regular is.
Yes, yes. Now here, let's talk about a few of the other products here as we move on. Talk a little bit. You could just touch on each one of these. One of my favorites, and I just got this question the other day. I love our Collagen Plus. I have it every day. I have, in my shake for lunch every single day. I have actually 2 servings of that a day. But talk about our Collagen Plus, because there's people out there that say collagen does nothing for you, and then liquid's the best. And I know you have a great 7-minute, 14-second video to be exact on this, but talk a little bit about our Collagen Plus and what separates it from the rest.
The collagen, unfortunately, collagen for a lot of people, what it did is it got the reputation of being a hair, nails, and skin product. It is so much more than hair, nails, and skin. The reason why it's hair, nails, and skin is because most people only use the 2 forms of 1 and 2 in it. But we have collagen 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10 in our product. That means not only is it hair, nail, and skin, it's also connective tissue, ligaments, tendon, and gut. And remember, 10 is the rarest form. But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just the forms of collagen which make this superior. It's also the fact that we added 2 other ingredients that are the carriers to help your body metabolize the collagen. One is something called fulvic acid, not folic acid, fulvic acid. And the other is aloe vera. In fact, we use a patented form of aloe vera called active aloe. Those 2 ingredients in combination with the collagen not only make your skin and hair and nails look amazing. In fact, we have so many hairdressers that are using this on the regular basis because their clients are now coming in instead of every 4 to 6 weeks, they're coming in every 2 to 4 weeks. But the main reason is because your skin just feels better. Your body feels better. Those aches and pains, if you're like me and did dumb things when you were a kid and all of a sudden you're paying for them, it just doesn't hurt as much when you're moving. You have a little bit more elasticity, things of that nature. So it's an amazing product that we just simply talk enough about.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. And it's great. Talk about how great it is for athletes too, recovery.
Oh yeah, it absolutely, like I said, it's connective tissue. I mean, let's be real, for athletes, I mean, that's what we're talking about. Ligaments, tendons, muscles, things of that nature. And let's remember, for an athlete, the most important thing is gut health. If you don't have a strong core and you have, leaky gut or inflamed gut and things of that nature, you can really get injured.
Yeah. Let's roll a couple more here, and then we'll try to answer some more questions as we wrap up. What else do we want to look at? I think one of our major, you can build a business alone. I mean, one of the biggest things in this country is sleep and energy. So let's go talk about the energy first. People don't have energy because they can't sleep. People can't sleep because they don't have energy, right? It goes hand in hand with each other. Talk about our energy product, which is, I have one first thing every morning, and it's incredible.
Energy is one of those things that we designed it. Everything at IDLife is designed with what we call purposeful product development. It's a term that basically means we didn't want to create something just to say, hey, we have one too. We wanted to create something that was a differentiator in the marketplace. Our energy formula is time-released caffeine. Okay. So in other words, like the typical energy drink that just, sends you into orbit. Because remember, most people don't realize that they use artificial sweeteners or sugars that basically raise blood sugar, but caffeine raises blood sugar as well. And if they take you up, something has to come down. And guess what? When you come down, you grab another one. That's just the way most companies design these things. What we did is we wanted to give you time-release caffeine so that you get a small bump and then a level caffeine, basically energy level, if you will, for 4 to 6 hours. Most people that come to us are usually taking 2, 3, 4 energy drinks a day. They try this and they're at 1, maybe 2, but 1 usually does the trick, gets them into the afternoon. When you feel lethargic in the afternoon, the thing is usually your body is depleted in electrolytes, and you should actually take a look at our hydrate formula. That's an electrolyte replenisher without the sugar of the Gatorade, Powerades, and vitamin waters and all the other things of the world. Perfect for kids. as a replacement. But our energy formula also has mental clarity and mental focus components to it. So you're not the Energizer bunny bouncing around off walls. You actually can have focused energy, which allows you to get things done. Now, the other thing that Jimmy talked about was sleep. Sleep to me is probably my favorite product. It's one of those products that I've used every night for 9+ years.
Yep.
And the nights that I forget it or I'm traveling and I run out of it, trust me when I say I can tell. The interesting thing about it is it only has 1.5 milligrams of melatonin. The reason why is because anything over 3, your body stops producing melatonin naturally and you become addicted to the product. Hence, I just explained why all these sleep aids that are out there on the market, that's exactly what they're doing. It also has L-theanine and 5-HTP. Those 2 ingredients basically help you fall asleep and stay asleep longer. But most importantly, there is a side effect with our sleep product. See, I always love saying that because I can see the face's reaction. Side effect. What side effect? The side effect is this. If you haven't dreamt in a long time, you will, and it's not our fault what your subconscious does. It's just the reality of most people don't get into enough deep REM cycles to actually have dreams anymore. I average somewhere between 3 and 5 REM cycles per night, according to my little Aura ring that I wear that gives me all the data. Yeah, I'm a data nut. It tells me everything. Most people don't have one. So as a result, I wake up usually before the alarm clock because I'm restored, I'm refreshed, I'm ready to take on the day. Most people wake up exhausted.
And what do you say to people? I've had this before. I know other people have had this before when they're talking to people, or hey, so how's you? Oh, my sleep's no problem. We back in the beginning, early days of IDLife, when you're talking to people about sleep strips and sleep, if people go to sleep, if they lay down and boom, they're out, that means they're sleep deprived. Talk a little bit about
Yeah,
explain that.
Harvard did a study, and Jimmy, I'm proud that you actually remember me talking about that.
Yeah.
Harvard did a study trying to figure out when someone thinks that they're a great sleeper, what that really means. So you're one of 2 people. Either you're that type that put your head on the pillow and boom, you're out, and everyone basically hates you because the people that can't, that they just don't like you. And then there's the type that's like, man, I can lay there, I stare at the ceiling 12 to 15 minutes, and eventually I'll fall off. But I can't go straight to sleep like my spouse. And usually it's one spouse can, one spouse can't. Well, the reality is what they found is the people that are sleep like that, they actually have sleep issues. They don't get good sleep. They basically wake up tired. Yes, they can fall asleep fast because they're not really falling asleep. They're passing out. And the people that actually take 12 to 15 minutes actually have a good circadian rhythm. There's some natural ways to help fix that as far as getting like on a schedule, a true schedule of your sleep. I always laugh when I'm talking to adults and I'm talking about sleep schedules, and they're like, I don't know, I'm an adult, I stay up, I have shows I want to watch, I want to catch up on my Netflix and all these other things. But think about when we're raising kids, there's a bedtime. Why do you think that is? The whole reason is basically we're getting the circadian rhythm built in. It's basically their body will start naturally going down about an hour before because the melatonin starts kicking in, and they create a natural sleep cycle. The whole purpose of these sleep strips is to help people create that, or recreate, if you will, that sleep cycle.
Nice. That's great information right there. All right, we're wrapping up. We got about 8 minutes left here. So let's talk a little bit about, you touched on the hydrate. We talk about our Nourish shake. This is that's vanilla cookie, and the brownie batter is amazing. But talk a little bit about our vegan shake, how it's not just for vegans. Because when people hear the word vegan, like, oh, I can't take that. My first thing is like, listen, I'm not a vegan, but I have this vegan shake every single day when I'm home, which is pretty much all the time. Unless I'm out somewhere, I try to have a healthy lunch. But my vegan shake, I love. I have it with 12 ounces of water, scoop of the vegan, our collagen plus, organic banana, some almond butter and ice, and it's amazing. But talk about our vegan shake and the benefits.
Yeah, the vegan shake is a special product not designed for vegans. It was actually designed for people that struggle with getting fruits and vegetables, or people that struggle with whey proteins. There's a lot of people out there that simply they can't take a whey protein because they have the P2 protein allergy that is found in whey proteins. So as a result, that's what the vegan shake was for. It also tastes amazing. That's the main thing. A lot of people that have tried vegan shakes before, it's 100% pea protein. Ours is hemp, brown rice, and pea. So it's a combination of all of them. It doesn't have that really gritty, super gritty texture that so many other vegan shakes out there have. And it's absolutely good for you with 2 servings of fruits and vegetables. So, It provides all of the benefits that you would really look for in a muscle building or protein related shake. Because remember, part of the thing is you want to build muscle or preserve lean muscle. Remember, the more muscle you have on your body, the higher metabolism is. If you're not basically helping your muscle by keeping your body active, as you start to lose your muscle, your metabolism goes down, which means you can eat the same amount of food you always have, but now all of a sudden you're gaining weight. That's what happens as we age. People forget that part of things, is if we don't keep our lean muscle, our metabolism goes down, our weight starts to go up. And it has nothing to do other than the fact that we're just not burning as many calories in our resting state that we did before.
Nice. And here we go. One last product here, and then we'll try to wrap up. We'll answer a couple more questions maybe, but we can't, I'd be remiss if you didn't go over our Slim Plus. This is everybody's. I mean, we have 5 unbelievable flavors, but we just rolled our blueberry acai flavor is incredible. They're all incredible, by the way. But talk a little bit about Slim Plus and the advantage of taking this once or twice a day.
You know, Slim Plus is that product that if you're trying to manage, maintain, or lose weight, it becomes your best friend. What it basically does is it cuts out those sugar cravings. But most importantly, it has 2 things that you normally find in chocolate. Now I got everyone's attention. What it does is has a dopamine release and a serotonin release. Dopamine from the happy part of your brain. Serotonin is the feel-good mood from the gut. When you actually use Slim Plus, you get the release of both of those. So it takes away all of those snacking cravings. In fact, what I tell most people, if you really want to try the effectiveness of Slim Plus, try it at 10 a.m. and don't eat lunch until you're actually hungry. Forget what the clock says. Take it at 10 a.m. and only eat when you're actually hungry. Most people, it's going to be 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The reason why is because remember this, hunger comes from the stomach, snacking comes from the brain. Okay, I'm going to say this again. Hunger comes from the stomach, snacking comes from the brain. Most of the time we're going to grab an unhealthy snack, or it's that mid-afternoon type thing, and we feel like we just need that something sweet or that something salty, depending on what it is for you. You know, what it really is your brain saying, hey, I really want a dopamine release. Your body's not saying I'm hungry. So it really is something, hey, if we can get you that dopamine release, that hormone release, which this has, guess what? That desire for whatever it is you were going to reach for goes away. That helps you keep on your plan. That's why this is such an amazing product. It can be a 10 and 2 for a better you. Some people can use it just in the morning. Some people, if you're going to take it one a day, hey, pick. When is your biggest snacking issue? Is it in the morning? Is it in the evening? For some people, you know, depending on which one it is, that's the best time for you to take it.
Nice, nice. Now let's talk a little bit about, I mean, let me go back here. Let me stop sharing the screen here. Let me see if there's any other questions. Let's see. All right, Dr. House may be great. No other questions here. Here's a great question. How does the assessment know genetics if no blood work?
So genetics
Great
is a
question.
genetics is a cheek swab, not blood. Blood can tell you what your current state of affairs is. In other words, how your body currently is as far as a state of vitamins. Genetics basically is a cheek swab that you send in, and genetically they test you. You don't have to have blood for genetics. In fact, most genetics, if you look at crime labs, I mean, if you watch CSI and things like that, most of that's coming from like hair, nail, and skin. And that's where most of that is coming from. You can get it from blood. It is possible. But blood contaminates and coagulates in less than 12 hours. So unless you're sitting right there in the lab and having a blood draw right there and getting it done, blood isn't necessarily the way that you want to go with genetics.
Nice. And how about this? This is people say that powder does not absorb as fast as liquid.
Okay. So
I know you'd love this one.
Well, in order to make something liquid, you have to heat it up. Okay. You have to get it above 180 degrees. That denatures the product. And I'll kind of leave it at that. I mean, I don't want to talk bad about other product companies. I know there's liquid collagens, there's liquid puddings, there's all kinds of things out there. And I've never been one that I'm going to bash another company or their unbelievable claims. All I would say is follow the science. Follow the science, see what it says. The reality is when you're talking about liquid anything, liquid vitamins, liquid anything, they had to have been heated up in order for them to get into that state. And when you heat anything up, you're going to denature it. Think of your microwave oven. If you want to really scare yourself, look what happens to your food when you put it in a microwave. Do a little study on that. You'll be, I mean,
And you'll never use the microwave
basically,
again.
yeah, you are basically obliterating the nutrients in the food that you threw in the microwave.
Here's another great question. So if people have high cholesterol, can they drink nourished or should they drink the vegan?
Really, it depends. When I say it depends is because there's a lot of different things that are associated with high cholesterol. I mean, usually high cholesterol is associated with either heart conditions and or usually some form of, I'm going to use the term, but it doesn't necessarily have to be this obesity. So some type of weight related issue. A lot of times that those two things kind of go hand in hand with one another. Diabetes is another thing that can contribute to cholesterol related issues. So if they're on those types of programs, could they use it? Yeah, they could. But should they use it? If they're under medical care, I'm always going to say, hey, consult the doctor. The doctor knows all of the history, knows the blood work, knows all the various things. Just talk to the doc. A lot of times, though, what you're looking at, again, remember, if you're trying to naturally improve cholesterol states, the easiest way to do that is to get physically active, improve diet, things of that nature. That means we want to build lean muscle. This is actually a supportive tool to help you build lean muscle. That's what Nourish is for. It's that protein component.
Nice. How about the quick one here? Can kids take collagen?
Absolutely. It's safe for kiddos.
Great, great. All right, I guess as we wrap up, I'm just looking through here for any more questions. No, Mark, this has been great. I can't thank you enough for your time. In a nutshell, so someone new to their health journey, their IDLife journey, what would you recommend they start with and then transition into, or what would your process be with a new customer?
I'm always a start with the detox. Start there. Let's basically clean out the system and let's prepare it for receipt of nutrients. But it may be that, hey, I'm not ready for that. I just want to try something. Then let's pick one of what I'm going to call the big four. Okay. Here's my big four for IDLife. One is, hey, are you struggling with energy related issues? You know what? Let's try some energy. Are you struggling with hydration? You just don't like the taste of water because it has no taste. Hey, we have Hydrate, Slim Plus, if that sounded appealing to you. And then of course, sleep. Those are kind of the main staples that I'm always going to kind of talk about. Collagen is an amazing product. Our workout line is amazing. Shakes are amazing. At the end of the day, I mean, we want you to we don't want you to spend more than you currently spend. What we talk about at IDLife is we want you to replace an unhealthy choice for a healthier choice. And if we can show you how to replace things, guess what? You can start to get on the journey of what we call the IDLife movement. In fact, the idea behind the IDLife movement is we want this to be your last first day. And I'll say that again. We want this to be your last first day, because all of us have tried things in the past. All of us have started and never really gotten there. I myself at one point was both a D1 college athlete at 8% body fat and a 306-pound, lawyer behind a desk. I've been in both places. I can have both conversations. It took me 6.5 years to learn how to lose it because I kept focusing on the 40 inches around my waist rather than the 6 inches between my ears. It's all habit driven, and it starts with a step. You can't get to where you want to go without taking the first step. And a lot of people, it has to be the desire for the outcome has to be greater than the than the trouble that it takes to get there. I always tell people, if you really want to start a weight loss journey and you want to stick with it, here's what I want you to do tomorrow morning. I want you to set your alarm at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, and if you have a spouse, I'm sorry, but 5 o'clock in the morning, don't hit snooze, get up immediately, make your bed, put on your clothes and walk outside and go do something. Doesn't matter what it is. Just walk around the block. Doesn't matter. Now, here's why I say that. Because if you can't jump up immediately without hitting snooze, if you can't make your bed immediately, if you can't put on those clothes and you can't walk out the door, you're not ready yet. Because guess what? Losing weight is hard. And just that one day is hard. And as soon as you can do that, and the desire and the outcome that you want is something, I can do this, then you believe in yourself enough to get to where you want to go. And that's what IDLife does. We're going to give you the vision. We're going to give you the information. We're going to give you the tools to get the results you always dreamed of. And it's not going to be for a season. It's not going to be for a fad. It's going to be for a lifetime. And that's what this movement is all about.
Nice. That was a great way to end it, Mark. Again, thank you very much for your time. Kudos, Mark Bennett, and everyone for hanging on. I'll post this in our team pages. And obviously, guys, for those of you that are new, there is a business side to IDLife, and if you're interested in that, get with the person that invited you to this webinar tonight. We can go over that as well. And thanks again for your time. And we'll have Mark Bennett back here shortly because we didn't cover all the products. So again, Mark, thank you very much. Have a great weekend with your son and great travels next week out in the Midwest.
Thanks, Jimmy. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys.